You ever notice the minute you think you finally outrun trouble, that's exactly when it shows up in a fancy vest, grinning like it's got the keys to your front door? Yeah, let me tell you, I learned that lesson the hard way out here on my grandfather's old Kansas farm, right after I'd turned my back on city life, thinking I'd bought myself some peace and quiet. Thought I'd left all the nonsense behind commutes, office politics, that endless noise. Out here, you wake up to the sound of your own heart beating, the kind of silence you can taste. And if you listen close, maybe you'll catch the ghosts of folks who worked this land long before you could spell HOA. 12 dozen acres of flat Kansas, just me, the corn, and enough sky to drown a city. That's what I signed up for. But peace turns out is like trying to fence in the wind. Early spring, just when the frost let up and hope started poking out green, that's when the real predators showed up. Not in black hats, but in matching Patagonia vests, reusable grocery bags, and smiles that would make my dog show his teeth. They said they were from the Golden Plains HOA, led by a woman named Karen. Of course, it was Karen Stevens, who looked like she'd gone straight from a design catalog to my driveway hair, so sharp you could use it to slice cheese posture like a ruler, in a voice that always sounded 2 seconds away from correcting your grammar. She and her clipboard army pitched me this eco-dream, some utopian self-sustaining neighborhood just south of my line. Solar panels, communal gardens, gray water, the whole nine. You'd think she was inviting me to join the future. In reality, she wanted me to hand over thousands of dollars of produce, corn, greens, eggs, in exchange for, you guessed it, exposure. "We'll feature your farm on our website," she said with a smile that could freeze milk. I just stared at her, then asked, "So you want me to give you real food for digital high fives?" She grinned wider. "Exactly. It's a unique opportunity." "Yeah, unique." "All right. The kind of opportunity where I end up broke and she gets to write another self-congratulatory email." I told her, polite as I could, I wasn't in the business of bartering away my livelihood for likes. I showed them all to the fence and watched their branded water bottles disappear like a missionary party that just discovered the tribe speaks legalese. Karen left with that look the one people get when they think they can outlast you with a smile. Week later, a gold-trimmed letter shows up, notice of community zone expansion. According to this paper, the HOA had absorbed my land effective immediately. No signature, no law. Just a wall of buzzwords and threats about harmonizing with community expectations. I laughed so hard, I nearly dropped my coffee. My lawyer confirmed it was a joke, had about as much authority as a lemonade stand permit. Still, I filed a harassment complaint with the county and the sheriff, and I didn't stop there. I upgraded every security measure from motion sensors to drone patrols, buried fiber lines, the works. Paranoid. Maybe. But if you grew up around here, you'd call it Tuesday. Thought maybe, just maybe, they'd pick another farm to mess with. Should have known better. Trouble doesn't knock. It picks the lock when you're out of town. I was in Wichita for an irrigation expo when it all went down just overnight. Left the dogs with my neighbor, figured I'd be back before breakfast. At 3:27 a.m., my phone lit up with a security alert. Zone South. 4 unmarked flatbeds headlights off, ghosting in from the tree line. Not a company logo, not a permit in sight, just a dozen folks in reflective vests dragging out 50-pound bags of cement like they were laying the world's worst foundation. They poured concrete right into my irrigation ditches, smoothed it down with brooms, moving row by row, silent and practiced. I watched through my screen hands, shaking, jaw clenched. By the time I made it home, sun barely up, boots crunching on drying cement, they'd buried 3 acres of early corn and torn out my sprinkler risers. Even sprayed my drone station with solvent, didn't matter. My backups caught every frame. Sheriff showed up, called it likely vandalism, until I handed over the footage. Faces, plates, timestamps. Insurance guy came, whistled, put the immediate loss over $130,000. Never mind the months it'd take just to scrape out the poison and try to make the land right again. I started digging for answers figuratively for now. License plates led me to a shell company out of Topeka, EcoFix LLC, never heard of them. One website, stock photos, building tomorrow's green infrastructure. The owner, Kyle Stevens, Karen's nephew, of course. Dug deeper, and there it was, a nonprofit called Earth Sage Alliance, supposed mission healing degraded soil. They'd filed for federal grants, claimed consent of landowner for a pilot project on my very farm, signed by me. Except I'd never signed a damn thing. They'd forged my name, pocketed grant money, and sabotaged my land under the flag of saving the planet. Did I stop? No chance. I traced fake websites advertising CSA subscriptions from my farm money flowing and not a scrap of lettuce going out. Domain traced back to Karen's house. She was about to frame me as a scammer to her own residents, set herself up as the hero who stepped in to fix my mess. But this time I was ready. At the big Central Plains Ag Expo, Karen set up a booth covered with flyers, photos of my ruined field, warnings about mutagenic nitrates, all made up science to paint me as some rogue polluter. She offered refunds to anyone who'd subscribed to my fake CSA, asking folks to donate instead to her Earth Sage Alliance. I didn't confront her, at least not with words. I brought 3 USDA agronomists over, ran live soil tests on samples, filmed the whole thing, and posted the truth everywhere. My land was clean, her science was fiction, her charity was a front. Within hours, my story blew up. Concrete corn was trending, and Karen had nowhere to hide. I hired Colleen, my lawyer, tough as barbed wire, no patience for fools. We went nuclear filed suit for everything: destruction of property, wire fraud, forgery, environmental sabotage. $380,000 in damages, and we roped in the EPA with evidence of illegal dumping on farmland. Colleen pushed for a court order, freezing HOA assets. Judge agreed. Suddenly, Golden Plains residents started asking why their dues were disappearing into partnerships nobody approved. Minutes from board meetings leaked. Karen had been forging votes, attaching digital signatures, running a one-woman show with everyone else left in the dark. The board imploded. Resignations, public statements, residents angry, some even threatening to sue me until they saw my evidence. Actual nonprofits threatened lawsuits over Karen's fake Earth Sage brand. Still, Karen doubled down, showing up on my drive in a silver Lexus, check in hand, offering me $30,000 to settle privately if I just withdraw my claims. I asked her if she even understood what wire fraud was, then let the rain soak her shoes while I shut the door. A few days later, I got the break. I didn't expect a late-night call from Allison Novak, the HOA treasurer. She had all the financial records, emails, and she was ready to testify. Turns out Karen had been deleting memos, rewriting minutes, bullying anyone who asked questions. Allison brought receipts, literally. Colleen nearly danced when she saw the evidence. Our case was ironclad now. The courtroom was standing room only for the pretrial. Karen rolled in like some wronged saint. But the judge took one look at the piles of evidence, the EPA report, and fast-tracked the case. We had original blank forms, testimony from Allison, drone footage of Kyle pouring concrete, and just to cap it off, a video of Karen herself caught saying, "If he won't give us corn, then he doesn't get to keep it either." You could feel the air go out of the room. The news ran wild. HOA president caught ordering sabotage of farmers' land. Within days, DOJ filed criminal charges, wire fraud, conspiracy, environmental crime. Karen, Kyle, and 2 board members under federal investigation, and the HOA itself thrown into receivership. Community melted down. Protests, lawsuits, folks demanding their dues back. Karen was arrested, escorted out in cuffs, and still managed to smile like the punchline was coming later. The HOA folded within a month. State pulled their charter, IRS yanked their tax status, and every green initiative line item got combed through by men in suits who'd never worn boots in a field. In the end, Karen took a plea, 12 years, no parole for 5. Kyle got 7, and the rest got banned from ever holding office in an HOA again. Yeah, there's a list for that. I got a real USDA grant and finally cleaned up my fields, most of them. I left one scar, a rectangle where nothing grows, and set up a sign that reads, "No corn grows here, greed buried 6 feet deep." You know, I never set out for revenge, just wanted my peace. Now every night I stand on my porch, the wind moving clean through new rows, no more cameras, no more alarms, just the sound of a place finally breathing again. Some folks say justice is about punishment. I think it's about what you protect when the world tries to take it away. So what about you? Would you have fought or walked away? Tell me, where do you draw the line between forgiveness and letting yourself get steamrolled? If you've got a story about standing your ground against an HOA, a neighbor, or just plain old bad luck, drop it in the comments. Let's talk justice. Let's talk land. Let's talk about what we're willing to fight for.